Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Feeling Seen, the podcast that talks about the movies and the characters that make us feel seen. And my guest here today, my co-host here today, is so very esteemed. This is, I'm prepared to say, a living legend in our midst. One of my agenda items when starting the Feeling Seen podcast was to put people in the action space on the pedestal that they deserve. And you have seen this face everywhere across cinema for decades.
Where?
And I'm gonna give people a suggestion now of an outline now of where you might know this person from: Atomic Blonde, Matrix Reloaded, the John Wick franchise, Ballerina, Deathstalker, the movie that came out just at the end of last year, Nobody, Bloodsport 2, True Vengeance, Perfect Target, the television show Mortal Kombat Conquest, and that is just a sliver of what Daniel Bernhardt has delivered to the silver screen and the small screen. And so, Daniel Bernhardt, what do the people need to know about you additionally before we get started here today?
I really appreciate, first, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. I love doing podcasts and interviews. It's really fun. And I like people like yourself, because you support us.
Absolutely.
And without you, we're not being seen. So we're being seen. It helps us get the movie promoted. It helps us being seen in the world. So what people need to know about me, I'm actually a very simple guy. I'm Swiss, born and raised, so I'm very proud of that. I think I had a very strong base as a child, living in Switzerland, going to school, doing my studies, which I think really helped me prepare myself for my future. I was a model in Paris. I was living in Paris for about 7, 8 years before I became an actor. Then I got into the movie business, became an actor, which is a tough game. I've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
Well, and so one of the things I've really latched onto in listening to previous interview years and reading things is when you came in, the economics of the industry were different in what kinds of movies got made. So with you starting out leading Bloodsport 2, making movies like True Vengeance and Perfect Target, I've heard you talk about how in a post-Matrix world, you come out of that movie and it's into the 2000s, and there isn't necessarily the independent action production market that there had been at the beginning of your career. So you've really you've seen the evolution of this genre through a lot over the course of your years.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember I was very, very blessed. I always say I'm blessed because I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. This is a very tough game, and if you can work in our game, like people say, "Oh, do you want to be a star?" I said, "I don't need to be a star. I want to be a working actor. That to me is success. If I can just work, I'm very happy because I love what I do." But in the mid 90s to the late 90s, it was very popular to do all these action films, lower budget movies. They put a face like myself on a billboard and they sold the movie for a couple of $1 million worldwide. And it was great. It was fun. I loved that world. We had so much fun. We could do whatever we wanted to do. And that was actually the beginning how I got involved with Chad Stahelski, David Leitch, Brad Martin, Jojo, all those guys who are now J.J. Perry, who became these big, big directors now. We all worked together doing low budget movies. And that's what we all learned.
Yeah.
But that market kind of disappeared in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I remember after I did Bloodsport 2, 3, I did Bloodsport 4, True Vengeance, Perfect Target, a couple of other smaller films. And then I got a TV show called Mortal Kombat, and I was gone for a year. And I remember coming back. That was in the early 2000s. I came back from Mortal Kombat, and I remember my lawyer saying, "The business has changed." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "What? What do you mean?"
In a year, taking a year to make a show and you come back and he's like,
a crash.
Wow.
And it was funny. And he said to me, "Yeah, you got lucky that you had this TV show." I was in a bubble. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And then it got tough. In the early 2000s, it was tough getting a job. I did a small little things. And then I got very lucky with Matrix. I mean, that was huge. That took me away for 2 years. And then it was ups and downs. And I made a choice after Matrix. I didn't get the films I kind of thought that I could get.
Sure.
People were saying, "Oh my God, it's going to be huge after Matrix." Didn't really happen. So I got a little bit more into the stunt world.
That's something I wanted to get you in that actually leads me into Deathstalker because it like you start out this career as you are this face front and center, but who has been training in martial arts since you were a teenager in Switzerland. So you're not coming in as actor first, fighter second. You're coming in sort of like fighter first and then like actor sort of working in parallel with that. And then you go from that capacity to working in a more stunt majority stunt forward at
Right.
like you said like after Matrix. And then now we have this evolution I'm really like I think is just categorically incredibly exciting where we're seeing people with your skill set and veteran experience getting to emerge as stars in their own right, perhaps even of self-produced things. We had Marco Zaror on the show earlier
Good
this
friend of
year.
mine. I love Marco.
He he
I talked to him yesterday.
he was so wonderful to speak with, and
He's
he
awesome.
but the two of you together in tandem, the longest action stars, the longest action actors working in the market
Well,
today.
there's one more. There's also Scott. So,
Well, you guys are the ones with like long ropes for arms and
right.
legs.
So just as a little side note, Scott, myself, and
Hmm.
Marco are very close friends. We
I
did a
love that.
we did a film together, maybe 2 years ago, directed by J.J. Perry, called
Hmm.
Killer's Game.
Hmm.
And it was a really fun movie. If you guys haven't, the audience, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's amazing. JJ killed it. He did such a good job.
Hmm.
Dave Bautista is the lead. Palm Clementine is in it. Sophia Boutella is in it. Great cast.
God, what a murderer's row. I remember that.
I know, incredible. So Scott, myself, and Marco,
Hmm.
once we never really met before. So
Hmm.
once, actually, no, I met Scott once before. When we met, we became like instant best friends.
That's so good.
We became instant best friends, and we would just hang out every day. We go train together. We walk around town. We shot in Budapest. It was so much fun, and we have this idea we want to do a film together, the three of us.
I mean, after Diablo with Scott and Marco last year,
Yeah,
let's move this momentum forward into the three-headed monster
I
coming up with a
know.
feature with all of you.
I know. It would be so cool.
This is a time where people with your guys' combined skill sets and the star power that you have is like has resulted in and Bren Foster doing what he did with Life After Fighting. There can be now this more re-emergent market of these stunt star forward vehicles. And then that's where we have something like Deathstalker, where it's you're the movie poster, you're the top of the call sheet. And I wanted to hear about that, like with the movie on your shoulders, having it like I've heard you talk about how with Steven Kostanski, the director, like you were the number one choice for this role. I wanted to
Yeah,
hear about that and also fighting everything practical on a set.
that was amazing. So I got to give a huge shout out to Steven.
Hmm.
I also talked to Steven yesterday. What a director.
There's not a thing he has made that I
I
don't
mean,
really like.
what a director. I mean, this guy has a vision.
Yeah.
You know, he made the movie he wanted to make.
Hmm.
This is exactly his vision. Everything in this movie is handcrafted by him. It's his decision.
Hmm.
And like you were saying earlier, I got a call from Michael, our producer Michael, and Michael said, "Hey, listen, we have this film called Deathstalker, and our director wants you to star in it. Would you be
Hmm.
interested?" I said, "Sure." Send me the script. I read the script, absolutely loved it. And when I met Steve, and I mean, we became like best friends instantly, and we're just he did such a good job,
Hmm.
you know. He really did, and the movie did very well. I mean, we got like a 78, 76 Rotten Tomatoes.
Hmm.
I've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
I've gotten some of the best reviews I've gotten,
Hmm.
and so I'm very grateful. Like the last 30 years, me being in the business,
Yeah.
it all kind of came together. Like when I started in my earlier films, the Bloodsport movies, the True Vengeance, the Perfect Target movies.
Hmm.
Just recently, I was talking to my friend Chad Stahelski,
Oh, sure.
the director from all the John Wick movies, and I said to him, I said, "Was I really terrible?"
Because you fight alongside Chad in Bloodsport
Of
too.
course, yeah, yeah. That's how we became friends. So Chad goes, "Well, there was a lot of eyebrows." There was a lot of eyebrow acting. And I think there was a lot of indicating. But, look, there's a lot of indicating. Look, I mean, I did the best I could.
You
When
were like brand new at that
I
point
was
to
brand
being a
new.
leading man.
I was thrown into with the Sharks. I was brand new. But to give myself credit, the second I got the role, I mean, even before I got the role, it took
Hmm.
like 2 years before the movie actually happened.
Right.
I went to LA, I committed to training, I committed to acting class, but I was in acting class for a year and a half before I
Yeah.
did my first movie, and you're kind of like, all right, let's figure this out. I have to speak. And and also the dialect and the language. When
Yeah.
I remember like I would say maybe like mid 20s, somebody gave me a script to read and I couldn't read English. No, actually, that's not true. It was like more like 23, 24. I spoke English, but I couldn't read
Yeah.
it. So I
Right.
had to learn how to read English. Mm.
A barrier of entry
Yeah.
many American film actors are not facing when they're
So
first getting a
what?
script.
So once I got in more into the acting, I forgot when it was. Maybe it was 22, 23. I learned English in Paris on the streets
Hmm.
because being in the modeling business, I could speak it, but I couldn't write it.
Yeah.
So once, and I remember somebody was interested in me having me do a movie or something, and they gave me a script, and I was like, "Oops, okay, hang on." So I started reading a lot of Stephen King books, and I learned how to read and write English in probably 3 months.
Stephen King, the keystone to the English language.
Stephen King. I started reading all the Stephen King books.
Well, that actually like that as a like coming in with sort of your sort of innate skill set and your authenticity as the thing that pushes you forward into the opportunities that you have. That to me frames very well the conversation of like the character that in the movie that you brought to discuss for our podcast topic with Feeling Seen, you chose Rocky. And in that, obviously, we have the debut feature as a writer, director, star of Sylvester Stallone. And it feels like so much of what carries that movie forward as being so enduring is that Rocky bleeds authenticity from the screen. And you're so emotionally in it with this guy every step of the way. And
Yeah.
he'd been an actor for years at this point, but like you really feel like even now you watch it and it's like, yeah, Sylvester Stallone must have just been some guy they plucked off the street and had this crazy opportunity. And you could kind of blank out that he had been acting and in the business before it because there's just so much
Mm.
raw sincerity about the performance. And I wanted to hear from you about that coming in was sort of like, all right, I had this year and a half year of acting classes, but other than that, like I had to move totally on instinct as my entry into this business.
Yeah, very true. I kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say I was winging it. I mean, I always believe I did the best I could at the time.
Sure.
There's nothing I could do better.
Hmm.
This is the best I could do. You're also depending on your director and your co-stars. I remember who really helped me a lot was James Hong,
Mm.
my co-star who played my master in the movie. He was incredible and he really, really helped me. I remember I was in acting class with Sal Dano, and I just remember acting class, I kind of I kind of didn't get it.
Hmm.
I was just always thinking, why is everything so complicated?
Sure.
I was just like, why are they making it so complicated? I want to say I probably lost a little bit in the beginning of my natural instinct
Mm.
in class.
Hmm.
But then once I was on set, I mean, I was kind of like, look, learn your lines, know your lines, and just, now, of course, today I know much more. I know, react, listen to the other person. I was always focused about what's my next slide, what's my next slide, what's my next slide.
Yeah.
And I remember actually Pat Morito. I did a scene with Pat Morito, and I had a couple of scenes with Pat Morito, and he really pulled me aside, and he was like, he saw I was struggling.
Yeah.
He helped me,
Mm.
and he came up to me and he goes, "Hey, listen, when you talk about this, think about this." And same with James Hong. James Hong, even one time that was so funny. He looked at me and he goes, whacks me. I go, what did I do? He goes, now do the scene.
Just like get out of your head. All right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it helped so much.
Hmm.
And I remember the first day when we were working, I was very nervous and I had to walk across the courtyard with him. And like I just got beaten up, but the scene was me walking across the courtyard and he's helping me. We're walking across the courtyard and everybody's watching. And he goes, no, 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 Daniel, come
Hmm.
here. And he whang, 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 smacks me in the side of my body. I want you to feel where the pain is because I wasn't really selling. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, I get it. I understand. I get
Yeah.
your point. So he helped me a lot. I got a lot of help. I mean, I haven't seen that movie in probably 30 years. So I don't know how it is just by Chad Stahelski telling me, lot of eyebrow acting.
What indicate me. Well, tell me, what was your first experience seeing Rocky? What was the initial impact of that movie for you?
You know, Rocky is a film. When it's on TV, I have to watch it.
Okay.
I've seen that movie, I don't know how many times.
Hmm.
It's one of those films, it just sucks me in immediately.
Hmm.
The character he plays, the underdog who gets a chance. And it's kind of like something we all want a second chance. We all want to be seen,
Hmm.
be seen.
Of course.
We all want to be seen. And he played this incredible, vulnerable, beautiful character who was actually a good guy, but he did a lot of bad stuff. And he met this woman. And I actually have a funny story about this.
Hmm.
I did a film with Sly. I did a couple of movies with Sylvester Stallone.
Hmm.
And when I met him for the first time, I went up to him and I said, "Hey, by the way, in acting class, my coach talked about Rocky as the perfect movie.
Hmm.
They use it in, I think, in writing class and acting class, they use it as the perfect movie storytelling.
Okay.
The underdog, how he rises, then how he falls. It's the perfect story, and he loved it.
That's so nice.
Oh, yeah. No, Rocky to me is probably one of my top 10 movies.
Hmm. Well, as I was like considering it again and like watching it like for this conversation, I was, I was thinking about that, you discussing that, we touched on it briefly, the turn of that time, like you said, coming out of Mortal Kombat Conquest, where you arrive, you have this career, it's established, you've been doing it for years, like you have good momentum about it, and then suddenly for no like by no control of your own, the sort of
Yeah.
plate, yeah, the tectonic plates shift underneath you. And
Yep.
I guess I wanted to hear from you more about that. What was because obviously, like, the physical side is what we see on camera and is what you very much honed and very much what you're known for. But I wanted to hear about the mental side of going into a different avenue of your career when it's like, God, I thought it was going to go this way. And in this industry, it's a particularly hard rug pull when things change and didn't go how the
Yeah.
trajectory said you were going to go. So I wanted to hear about the mental endurance of that.
So to me, I never take no for an answer. I was
Mm,
always like that, And I just based on how I was raised, I'm
mhm,
always a very polite person. I'm a nice person. I'm a good person. And I created a world, even in the time when I was doing my low budget films, the independent action movies, I created a great community
mhm,
of all my stunt guy buddies became my best friends. Chad Stahelski, David Leach, Brad Martin, J.J. Perry, JoJo, all these guys became my buddies.
mhm,
So they were rising in their world. I was rising in my world. I
mhm.
used to hire them. They used to work on all my movies.
Right.
So suddenly, even like I remember from Mortal Kombat Conquest, I pitched Chad Stahelski to the second unit.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he didn't get it.
Sure.
But then JJ worked on it as a fighter, at which I recommended him. He came in as a character. So when my career after Matrix, got a little slower, there were not that many jobs.
Sure.
I got a call from my friends. Chad
Mhm,
and Dave called me to go, hey, listen, why don't you come in our world? Come
mhm.
hang out at 80/70/11, do some stunt stuff. So I actually shifted my career. I went from more acting. I mean, it's basically the same thing, honestly.
Sure.
I was a martial artist who got a chance to act.
Yeah.
So now I became an actor who started doing martial arts and stunt.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, just the other way around.
Mhm.
And I went to 80/70/11. I started training with the boys. But here's the thing, I didn't come in as an actor. I was like, all right, I'm a stunt guy too. I start cleaning the mats. I start
Yeah.
helping scrubbing the floors. I start help cleaning up. And I started doing previs, helping for free, helping out. And people saw that
Mhm.
I'm actually good at what I do, that I have a certain look, and that
Mhm.
I can speak.
Yeah.
That became very interesting. And
Mhm.
then I remember, I think the first job, then we did a short film together that I wrote and directed called Fetch.
Yes. Yes. Fetch.
So that was our first project we all did together. But then I think the first real project I got was we were doing a lot of previses at the time at 80, 70, 11.
Hmm.
There was one for we started working for Ninja Turtles,
Hmm.
Snow White and the Huntsman. We start doing all these previs, and I start getting very busy with stunt work, which was
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm hanging out with my buddies, we're getting paid. And then I think one of the first jobs I played a soldier in, I think it was Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
And I was actually just a stunt guy.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I loved it. I still
Hmm.
did the same. I still did fight scenes. I still fell on the ground. But I didn't have to talk. And then things just started to evolve. And then I got a call to play. They asked me to read for Parker, and I did an audition for that movie Parker with Jason Statham, and I got it.
Yes.
So that's where I was very helpful to
Hmm.
them. They could use me because I'm 6'3",
Hmm.
a little bit of a bigger guy. I'm a good martial artist. I have a certain look, and I know how to do dialogue.
Hmm.
Now, all of my past kind of came together.
Hmm.
Now I'm doing films with Jason Statham. Then I got hired to do. I got a. Then Chad called me. I did Hunger Games. I played a tribute in Hunger Games,
Uh-huh.
and then Chad and Dave started to direct. I got a call to do John Wick,
Hmm.
and then from that moment on, it kind of like just changed. I became. And Chad always said, he goes, "No, you're not an actor. You're an action actor."
Hmm.
So I kind of call myself an action actor.
Hmm.
I get hired to do fight scenes, dialogue scenes, create a character,
Hmm.
and I think that all that actually led to Deathstalker,
Yeah.
getting the chance again to star in a movie.
Hmm.
You know,
Well, and again too, like the like going through like watching the Sylvester Stallone movie, this writer director star, and then thinking of him and while I was watching Fetch, and I heard you talking to Scott
you
Adkins on
saw
his.
Fetch?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. There's you got Chad front and center. You like your Chad fight starting the beginning. I think David
look,
Leitch is your star in that one. I think Dave throwing himself over a moving car like at the very beginning of
wasn't that
that.
awesome?
Yeah, I actually that one shot I did not that really threw me. I was like, "Oh my God." He's
What did you
just
think of Fetch? What did you think?
that was really fun. I was watching it and I was like, it's that sense of like watching The Rip recently, the one coming out with Scott and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and it was one of those feelings of like, man, why don't we get 10 movies like this a year? And I honestly like coming off of that and watching Fetch to get ready for this, I started thinking the same thing of like, why don't we get 10 movies that feel like this every year? That like
Mm.
that thing that feels like it has sprung from the DNA of 1990s independently produced martial arts cinema that used to be a business model that was fruitful enough for the people involved in it to have sustainable like class careers making these movies. And I was like, God, having the guys who just know how to do this on camera and behind camera with just like a cool bum doing cool shit on screen. It made me just like I wanted it to keep going after it was done.
You saw the movie already, The Rip?
Yes, I got to see a little preview link of that because I covered it for NPR. So
I
I had to
can't
be
wait to see it.
I really hope you it is a hard ass little movie. I
Yeah.
was wrapped in the suspense. It was I love Dirtbag Affleck and Damon, and it's again like why don't we get 10 movies of these a year that look like they could air on TNT with 30 minutes of commercials and you're just like working your way through a bag of popcorn on a Friday night. But which is how I felt about watching Fetch. I was like if this just continued for the next 70 minutes, I would be so incredibly happy to live in this world.
That's awesome.
Well, and so I wanted to hear from you about what was there, how did the experience, if at all, it doesn't have to have, but like how did the experience of realizing your vision through writing, directing, did that influence at all what you took forward as a performer on screen, having executed it from nose to tail as filling all these other positions that you hadn't done before?
You know, one of my past coaches always said something really beautiful to me. It's all art.
Yeah.
It's all
Hmm.
art. And if you do one art, it'll make you better than other art.
Hmm.
So being an actor will make you a better writer. Being a writer will make you a better actor. Being a
Hmm.
director will make you a better producer. It's all hand in hand.
Completely.
I think I think I've learned when I directed, and that was 20 years ago, and hopefully I can do it again soon. I'm
Hmm.
working on a couple of things something I really, really want to do.
Hmm.
I've learned better to listen.
Hmm.
You know, you got to listen to your crew. You got to listen to your actors because every day there's a problem.
Hmm.
and you got to figure out how to solve that problem. And you may have a certain vision how you have it, but then the other person doesn't understand what you're saying. So you
Hmm.
got to really figure out how to talk to people.
Hmm.
I think that's what I gotten out of it. And I personally love directors.
Hmm.
So when I work with directors, I'm very much an actor's director. Like
Hmm.
I listen to my directors.
Hmm.
I want their influence. I ask a million questions. I come prepared. I always come very prepared when I do
Hmm.
a film. But I ask a million questions. I
Hmm.
go, well, here's what I'm thinking, or even because a director, like when I get a project, I probably spent on it like, let's say, I probably got it a month before. So
Hmm.
maybe I worked on it for a month or 2 months. I read the script maybe 50 times,
Yeah.
you know, but the director has read it 200 times.
Yeah.
The director has worked on it for 2 years.
Hmm.
So he has so many more clues than I have. So sometimes I'm getting a great clue from a director, but then sometimes the other way around, the director
Sure.
gets a clue from me.
Hmm.
Where I say something and I go, hmm.
Hmm.
Just for an example, I did a film called Hell Hath No Fury.
Hmm.
And there was a scene where I get stabbed.
Hmm.
And and I just never understood why that could happen. And then I made the decision that I'd let it happen.
Hmm. Is that the World War II one that you
Yeah.
made about the
Yeah.
Nazi gold? I
Yeah.
love that one. Is that
Yeah.
Jesse V. Johnson?
Jesse V. Johnson. Yeah, he directed
That
it.
would you are an excellent bad guy in that movie. That's one of my favorite Daniel Bernhardt performances.
Was I a bad guy?
It's true. It's true. It's true. But I mean, your
Or
eyebrow
was I
work
just a romantic lover?
your eyebrow work works very favorably in both directions for you.
I was
You
like,
you can have a hell of a scowl on you. But yeah, no, I love that one. And Jesse V. Johnson, one of just the great action workhorse directors out there right now.
yeah,
A
he's a
great
he's an old
combination
friend.
of actor director with you and him in that one.
Yeah. And he used that. That was a scene where I went up to him and I said, you know what? I know why she kills me.
Hmm.
I let her kill me. That was my decision in the end as an actor. I let her kill me because of all my sins that I've
Hmm.
done in the war.
Well, in that too, I remember you like when were talking about like always kind of pushing forward and like the taking note from one another and sort of trying to push yourself forward in opportunities where you have the chance. And I was listening to you talk about working on Lou, the Netflix movie with Alice and Janney, and how you were doing like some action design for that and got to a point where you were like, hey, I could do like putting yourself forward, like, hey, I could be in this. This is something I'm doing the work. I'm working with Allison. We're comparable, like heightened dimension for one another. I heard you talking about how like you could protect her in a fight very easily if it was happening between the two of you. And what I wanted to hear from you a bit about that was like you describe yourself in the conversation I heard you having about it as like a hustler. And I wanted to hear about that. And that was something that was popping into my head a lot too, of like considering Rocky, like this is a man who like nobody's sort of putting him on but himself in this. Like he's like you got Apollo who's like a professional boxer who's training professionally, then you've got Rocky who's like flipping tires and punching sides of meat to get ready for this. And I wanted to hear about the hustle side of your job and having to be your best advocate to put yourself out there to get
I'll,
opportunities that
I'll
you
give you a
want.
good one. So I was just in London,
Hmm.
and I visited Chad on set, and I go, Chad, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do in Highlander?
Hey, I'm here. I'm free.
I mean, I hustle, like I do it in a very funny, polite way, but I'm
Sure.
a good hustler. I saw JJ yesterday, and I said, "Hey, what do you got going on?"
Yeah.
So, say hi real quick. Just a little surprise.
Oh, who do we have? Who do we have?
Hi.
Hey,
Hi, it's
look at
Nina.
that.
Hi.
Introduce yourself for the listening public.
Okay, I am Nina Bergman and I killed Daniel Bernhardt.
In Hell Have No Fury.
I hope you have a t-shirt that says that you can wear around as
Oh,
an
that is
inside
so
joke.
funny.
Well, his tree monsters kill me in
Oh, that's true.
Deathstalker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was
And
gonna
he
say,
was also a
and
Deathstalker.
Deathstalker. We can't leave out Deathstalker in this
no,
conversation.
Yeah.
and Chief of Station, Jesse didn't want us to be close to each
Yeah,
other
yeah. We did a movie also called Chief of Station that
Uh-huh.
Jesse directed.
with
Yeah.
the Aaron Eckhart. Yeah.
Well, I suppose I should ask you since you're here. Like I wanted to, what is tell me about that we never get this. Tell me about the working opposite Daniel perspective when we have this action actor here. What is it like to be a Daniel co-star?
Oh, it's amazing because he helps actors become better. You
Hmm.
know, like especially on those like lower budget movies,
Hmm.
I in Hell Hath No Fury when we met. I mean, I don't know if you know, I was wearing a slip and that was
Hmm.
it. I could
Yeah,
wear
that
no
you are vulnerable to the elements in
vulnerable,
that.
yes. And I had to fall and be thrown and be tackled and land on the ground. So Daniel was the kind of guy who would scout the ground, make sure there was no stones when I was
Hmm.
going to be thrown on the ground. And
This
Hmm.
is part of my nature, because I'm also in the stunt world. So
Yeah.
immediately I go when somebody has to fall, I just can't help myself. I go look at the stone. Is there any stones? Is there any dirt? Is there anything,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah, and then the beautiful thing is because Daniel, I think a lot of people know him from his action, but he's actually a real actor. And
Yeah.
when we first met, I mean, like I'm a method. I come from, I've been in theater my whole life, so I come super prepared with books and notes, and
Hmm.
and he did the same. He was like the
Hmm.
only one with a big
Yeah.
notebook and all of the,
Had every corner marked on the
yeah.
pages and
And
Hmm.
the stickers.
and he wants to rehearse. I love rehearsing. I'm all about the prep,
Hmm.
and not all actors are that way.
Sure.
So he wanted to go the distance.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just wants to make it the greatest movie.
Yeah, and I think we did a really good. I mean, I think we did a really good job on Hell on the Fury, and I think Jesse killed it on it. I think she did great. I did great. It was a fun movie to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I think that's such an interesting aspect of the genre that you do work so much in is that all actors are sort of emotionally responsible for their co-stars in a scene. There is like an innate training in you that I would imagine would tease out, and there's a responsibility within the job of yourself. You have to be physically responsible for the
Right.
actors that you're often opposite of, and that's
Well,
an extra
safety.
consideration to bring into everything
It's
else that's happening on
it,
screen.
it's in my world, safety is always number one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done so many fight scenes with females. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
from Halle Berry to Charlize to Allison Janney. I just did a film with Amber Midthunder,
Mm.
Kat McNamara. I mean, so many ladies I fight with, and it's for me the most important thing is safety.
Yeah.
Look, we all want to make a great movie.
Hmm.
But safety to me is number one. If you're not comfortable,
Hmm.
we'll change it.
Hmm.
If you can't do it, well, we're not trying to wing something. We're changing it because you have to be comfortable in doing it. Look, accidents happen, but we
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
we try to keep that risk to an absolute minimum.
Hmm.
I mean, I trained Bob Odenkirk for Nobody for two films over the last like 6 years.
Yeah.
You know the worst injury he's had was like a split. He had a splinter once on Nobody One, and on Nobody Two because he just kind of went like this
Yeah.
somewhere. He cut his finger a little bit because he just grabbed like a railing and it was
Yeah.
sharp, and that was it.
I
He's
gotta
got around.
run.
Thank
Have
you
a
for
meeting
dropping in
with.
and saying hello.
Yeah, it was so nice meeting you.
It was nice meeting you. Deathstalker
Yeah.
is fantastic. It is
Yeah,
a
and maybe
great
maybe you can have
time.
her. You can have her by yourself
Uh,
one day.
You are chewing the scenery in Deathstalker. You are chewing the scenery.
yeah, it was a fun one. He did good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But nice meeting
It
you.
was nice meeting you. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye.
It was just really funny when you were talking when we were talking about Hell Have
Hell
No
hath no
Fury.
fury.
She came in and she was walking around. And I
She's
don't know
like,
if
I
you
hear
saw.
my name.
No,
Am
no,
I being
I
summoned?
don't know if you saw me keep doing this. I kept doing this, and I smiled. I was like, "Oh, come on, just come on in and say hi."
Well, that like to like what the thing that I was going to ask about was the as I another thing I heard you and Scott talk about was the difference in a kind of pre-Matrix and post-Matrix landscape where the actors were trained in such a big way to perform in this incredibly martial arts intensive movie.
Yep.
And that is a kind of dividing point between what would come to be sort of expected of actors in high level martial arts choreography in films and how actors became part of this process, not just doubling them out and like cutting a face in. And I wanted to hear how that has changed the scope of how you function on set or how you consider action choreography with actors becoming like, for a big example, Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde, and you guys just wailing on each other and her going all out in a movie like that. How has it changed your time on set with actors becoming much more involved in the actual fighting production themselves?
So if you go back, I mean, it goes way, way back to Bruce Lee,
Sure.
Chuck Norris, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Donnie Yen. I mean, those were all actors who did their own fight scenes.
Oh, for sure.
Of course, they got doubled for very dangerous things. Not all of them, but some of them
Hmm.
got doubled for dangerous things. You just can't. You can't jump off a
Jackie
building.
Chan is crawling across hot coals in Drunken Master too.
Yes, yeah. So I would say when I got in the game, when I did my first couple of films, I was doing everything.
Hmm.
You know, I want to say the only thing Chad wouldn't let me do is one time I was on a bike and there was an explosion and he didn't want me to do that
Hmm.
on Bloodsport 3. But then when I start working with 8711, when they started working with Jason Statham was one of the great examples.
Hmm.
When he came on the market after his Lock, Stock, and Two Smoke Baron movies.
Which you can really
Snap.
feel the Guy Ritchie in Fetch. You can really feel the Guy
So
Ritchie in
he he
Fetch.
was he was my inspiration.
Those
Guilty,
the freeze frames and the
yeah.
character introductions, I was
Guilty
really
as
feeling
charged. Guilty as charged. Um,
it.
I was a huge Guy Ritchie fan. After he did Transporter, he did such a
Hmm.
great job. So
Hmm.
he started to set the standard. So now it's Jason Statham, who I,
Yeah,
by the way, love. I'm a huge fan, and he's a friend, and I just did another movie with him. I love Jason.
outstanding.
Um, he set the standard of doing his own action, and then
Hmm.
everybody was like, "Oh, you know." Then Keanu did it for actually Keanu was probably before. Keanu did it for Matrix was before, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
Keanu, so
99.
actually maybe Keanu was probably, you know what? Let me take that back. It was actually Keanu because I remember I just finished a movie with Chad Stahelski
Hmm.
in 98 and we lost Chad
Hmm.
because I wanted him for another movie and he was gone. He was doing Matrix and I
Right, he
remember
was doubling. He
he
was his
was
double for the Matrix.
he
Keanu's
was
double.
doubling Keanu and teaching Keanu. Wu Ping was doing fight choreography. And I
Hmm.
remember when Chad came back, he said to me, Daniel, you don't even understand.
Wow.
When I saw Matrix, I was just like, I saw it twice back to back in the
Yeah,
theater.
what honestly tell me, what is it like watching The Matrix as somebody whose this is their career? Like, what is it like seeing that from your specific
The
lens?
first one is still, in my opinion, one of the most perfect movies ever made.
Hmm.
The first Matrix is a piece of art.
Hmm.
It is perfect.
Hmm.
You can take every frame of this picture, every frame, you can literally just do a still
Yeah.
and hang it on the wall.
Yeah.
Bill Pope shot it. It was unbelievable. The Wachowskis did it. They were so talented. I mean,
Hmm.
they're so talented. Keanu was unbelievable. Lawrence was amazing. Carrie Ann,
Hmm.
Hugo. And then when I got the call, and here's the funny thing. You know how I got the call?
Mm.
I got the call. My first call I got was not my agent. It was
Hmm.
Chad.
It's really nice to hear the corroborative stories of that, like, sort of no matter what capacity you're operating in, one of the best things you can do for yourself in an industry as volatile and unpredictable as this is have community around you.
It's Chad called me up and he goes, Daniel, call your freaking agent. Tell him they're casting Matrix. They're looking for agents. And I called my agent as well. I'm like, oh my God, this is like very special. I'm gonna go in.
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
It's literally a room of agents. It's literally all a room of like these doubles of all these men.
Everybody I knew, every stunt guy I knew, every action actor I knew, every actor I knew.
Hmm.
There were hundreds of people I knew, and I'm going like, oh shit.
Yeah. Okay, okay. I thought this might have been like more of a top secret thing, but here we are.
And I
Hey, good to
remember
see you, everybody.
all my stunt guy buddies were there. They were, they don't really care. I came in very prepared, like all in my suit, and I would never forget the audition. It was very simple. It's
Mhm.
him, the anomaly. Do we proceed?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're the upgrade. You're the upgrade.
He is still only human. That was the audition,
Hmm.
and I remember doing it. And the brother and the Chavskis are there, and they go, do less.
Which is not the only time you've been asked to do less in an audition.
It's him, the anomaly. Do we proceed? Yes. He is still only human.
Hmm.
Do less. I'm like, what?
I've heard you talk about your Barry audition
Same thing.
being the
Yeah.
same thing of just
Yeah.
like, can you do nothing? Like, can you
Less
give
eyebrows.
nothing?
Because just by nature, I'm very expressive. I'm
Yeah.
European. I talk with my hands, I make faces, I use my eyebrows. And same with Barry. He
Hmm.
was like, yeah, that was great, Daniel, just less. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
It's very hard for me to do, but I understand it
Hmm.
because there's a lot going on here,
Hmm.
and they just wanted less. But then I remember I got the call from Matrix, and it worked out, and I had to audition also for Wu Ping. So
Hmm.
once I got a call back, I know I actually got a call back. Then I read for casting, then I read for the directors, and then I got another call back to audition for Wu Ping.
Hmm.
Kung Fu.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah. I never forget. I'm doing my crazy martial arts, spinning, kicking, and flying around and jumping. I
Hmm.
think I pulled something. I was going so over the top. And I just remember Wu Ping kind of walking over to his brother and just doing this to him.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of went like, either it's really good or really bad.
Either this is a joke at my expense or
Yeah.
I'm in. Something I wanted to touch on with you as well as we come toward the end in touching off that point of community and bringing in the factor of safety first as a stunt-minded professional, that always being paramount and being the hustler that you are and having and being as prolific as you are in your career. I wanted to hear about the kind of as you get further into your career and as you mature into this and a lot of people know you and you know a lot of people, I wanted to hear about the curation side
The
of
what?
making sure the curation side, like
What is that?
curating, being a selective and sort of the process behind which who you decide to work with and
Whoever hires me.
whoever. Okay, so you see, that's what I wanted to ask is like,
Yeah.
because you know, it clearly you have so many solid relationships and. Before we started recording, we talked about you working with Liam O'Donnell in the Skylines franchise that
Yeah.
he's the writer director of. And I wanted to hear about like the sort of vetting for like I feel like you get to a certain age in life and you're like, I don't want to work with dickheads. Like I don't want to be around assholes. And I want to hear about with all the years you have behind you, the selection process of who you work with and who you put your safety on the line for and how that works with being someone as busy as you are.
You know what? Look, like I said before, the success I have is working.
Hmm.
I'm a working actor, which I'm very proud of. I've
Yeah.
been working a lot and I'm very, very blessed and lucky.
Hmm.
That can always change. You just never know.
Yeah.
So, selecting, I mean, I rarely turn things down because
Hmm.
I don't get as much as you would think,
Sure,
you
sure,
know.
sure.
So when I have to turn something down, then it's either because I actually, as a matter of fact, I had to turn something down this month
Mm.
that I just couldn't do
Mm.
because it was something very similar that I did last year for way less money and way less, what's the word? It was a smaller film. I just couldn't do it.
Sure, yeah.
And,
Well,
and
I'm glad you have your limits. I'm glad
but
you
you
have
know,
your
but you know
you're
what I
putting your
did?
body on the
But you
line.
know what I did? I told my agent I hate turning things down. I asked for a meeting with the producer and director,
Hmm.
and I explained it to them.
Hmm.
I said, listen, I think you guys are very interesting. I would love to work with you, but let's find something else. This particular project you want me for, I just can't do it because I literally did the same thing
Sure.
in a really big movie.
Hmm.
I can't do it,
Right.
And they were very cool and they were like, yeah, let's definitely work together. Let's find something. And
Okay.
and I still appreciated it. But look, I love to work.
Hmm.
And I have this one thing that I've learned a long time ago, work creates work.
Hmm.
And I remember
1,000% true. Yes.
work creates work. And if you're just waiting, sitting back for that one thing to happen, you may be waiting a long time.
And Hollywood loves a busy person. Hollywood loves somebody who's unavailable.
Yeah, and you know what? It happened to me a couple of times where people call me and I'm not available. It's killing me. I'm like, oh, I just lost a job. Oh my God, I lost a job. No, you didn't lose a job because you're busy, you're working.
Yeah, you didn't lose a job. You're just doing a job.
You're doing a job, yeah.
Well, I guess my concluding question to you then would be, talking about like, there's obviously Fetch, which happened a while ago, but wanting to get back in that mode of pushing through your vision. And then we've cited the examples of like Marcos Aurora, and Scott Adkins just had Prisoner of War come out last year, and Bren Foster with Life After Fighting, these stunt star, action star driven vehicles. How has seeing projects like that come to be, perhaps like adjusted, like raised or adjusted your bar for what you think you can envision for yourself as something that like, I feel further empowered to do X thing because I'm
Direct,
seeing
you
these
mean?
examples laid
Directing?
out. Yeah, for as directing, like, talking about you had something in mind for stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been working actively on a movie that I want to direct.
Hmm.
Now, I'm gonna be, and I don't mean this in any bad way. It has to be something that really makes sense to me.
Of
Like
course.
I've been offered lower budget movies to direct, and I'm not really interested in doing that
Hmm.
because I know what it takes to make a good movie,
Right.
and I've done a lot of low budget movies, so I know what I need to make a decent movie.
Hmm.
And so I'm working on a couple of things, I mean, I never talk about things that are not for sure,
Sure, they're not for
but
sure.
once they're for sure, that I'd love to talk about it. But it's something I'm actively working on it.
Okay.
Hard. I've been working on it hard.
Okay. And because I've been wondering when we get the sort of product of your vision and your imagination coming to the fore, seeing such great examples with like your peer performers and things like that, and knowing that there must be something in the hopper. So I'm glad to know that you are cooking. I'm glad to know that
I
you're
am
cooking.
cooking.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Daniel. I really, really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate your generosity of conversation. I really appreciate having a guest star drop into the episode. We got
That was
two for the
funny.
price of one.
That was funny.
But yes, thank you so much for coming on the show. And Deathstalker is outstanding. And I encourage everyone to find it wherever you can.
Yes, please, please, audience, go check it out. It's a really fun movie.
Support independent cinema is a true mantra on
Yeah.
this podcast, and there is like, if you feel like you have tired of CGI, or you are somebody who's crying out on the internet for something tangible, Stephen Kostansky is one of the great practical effects filmmakers
Unbelievable.
of our time, and he is an artisan himself. He is a visual effects professional and specialist himself, so like, you are seeing a handmade project from a visionary when you watch a Stephen Kostansky movie.
You should get him on your show.
Would love that. You
What's
you would love that. Stephen is one of my favorite directors, and I would absolutely love to have
Yeah,
him on.
just email me and I'll connect you guys.
Okay, great. Yes. Well, then I will sign us off again and say thank you so much for being here, Daniel. I truly appreciate your time, and it's a privilege to have one of just the most real ass goddamn action actors on the show, and I so hope to be spotlighting more and more and more people.
Thank you.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
Directly
by you.